everybody, and welcome to another edition of Friday Foolish. I'm going to be adding Candice here shortly, and then you will be able to see that we're kind of like twins today because we both got our Friday Foolish shirts on. And I may be so bright, everybody's got to wear shades. I may have to shut this door again because evidently the sun is shining, which is great, but sometimes it might make me a little too bright because the door's right here, my computer's right here. So, um, hey, Blissful. So, I do have, in honor of us talking about clown horror or clowns in horror movies, I do have my Killer Clowns from Outer Space soup mug, and I have my skeleton spoon. This is homemade vegetable soup in here, or vegetable beef soup to be more specific, because I've been told in the past you can't just call it vegetable soup if you've got ground beef in it. But it's like my mom cooked vegetable soup for years, and sometimes she put ground beef in it, sometimes she didn't. But it was always vegetable soup. So, anyway, um, hey, Darren, you say hello once again. Beautiful day here in the UK, too. Yeah, after we've had all these storms and gloomy weather and pouring rain, it's nice to see the sun out. And it almost feels like a fall day out there today because not frigid or anything, but the air is a little bit cooler. Um, so before I get Candace on here, though, I just want to remind everybody that I've changed the watch along movie in honor of the upcoming Mother's Day holiday to the trauma film Mother's Day. So that's going to be Saturday's watch along starting at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Sunday has the return of the movie Munchies at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm going to be making Norma Bates homemade cinnamon rolls inspired by a recipe that my mom came up with all on her own. And it's a very delicious cinnamon roll recipe. So I think everybody's going to like that. So I'm going to show you how to make those. And then the watch along for Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time will be Back to School, starring Rodney Dangerfield and Keith Gordon. So, and Robert Downey Jr.'s in this as well. So, you fans of Robert Downey Jr. can enjoy that as well. Blissful, you said the wild apple trees by our house is in full bloom. Absolutely beautiful. I bet it is. I love apple trees. Absolutely love them. We don't have any. I wish we did, but hey, Coco, you say, hello, been raining like a mofo here in Tennessee. I'm over it. It's dreary here. Yeah, I hope you didn't get any like really bad weather in Tennessee, Coco, because I know some areas of Tennessee did. But with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and add Candace. Hey, Candace.
Hey, Dana. Hey, everybody.
And we're
We're twins today. Yeah,
Yeah, we're twins.
you might not can see mine as well, but I've got it on.
And it's nice and comfortable and all that.
Yeah, definitely. I
Okay.
love it.
Yeah, I like this pink color. You can't really see the brightness of the pink, the lighting
Yeah,
on me, but you can see it a little bit better in Candace's light.
yeah,
That hot.
yeah. I love it.
And you can get your own Friday Foolish shirt if you want me and Candace. You want to go around wearing us on your chest.
Yeah,
You can you can
hey,
order
Blissful.
those. They'll be soon coming to the Deadites on Deck shop. Oh, that reminds me, I want to remind everybody again that I'm in a transitional period with the shop. And sounds like I'm talking about the shop on Firestarter, but my horror merchandise shop. So I was having a really rough time with the learning curve with Bluehost and WordPress. It just seemed so counterintuitive to how quickly I wanted to get these items on there. So yesterday afternoon, I started looking for an alternate, hosting place. And I came across Wix, Wix. I'm sure a lot of you guys and gals have seen commercials for them. Sometimes they show up on YouTube. If you're watching a video on YouTube, a Wix commercial will come up. Somebody might come in here and think I'm talking about Wix Pizza in Louisville. Nah, not talking about that. That's Wicks. And they have very good pizza if you're ever in the Louisville area and want to get some good pizza. But anyway, I'm transitioning over to Wix, and my domain, deaditesondeck.com, should be transitioned over by the end of day this Saturday, tomorrow. So if you try to go to deaditesondeck.com now, it may tell you that it's not a secure site and it basically won't let you do anything. But never fear, that's a normal thing when you're transitioning your domain over. And I checked that out on Wix and they said, don't worry about that. When everything's completely transitioned over, people will be able to see your shop. So hey Batman. He says, "Hi, Dana, Candice, Bliss, Coco, Darren.
Hey.
I hope y'all don't mind me eating my soup. I've had a little sinus trouble, and I think it's on the mend because finally Dana got a clue and took her sinus congestion medicine, and it's making me feel better now. So, um, I wasn't feeling that bad, just a little bit of a headache, and you know how it feels like you've got cold in your eye. I've got
Yeah.
that, and it's just aggravating. Um,
It sucks feeling like that.
but again, we're going to talk about clown horror today. Um, and,
Woo!
and Candace probably looked at the little thing I put at the corner of our title card, and she probably thought, "What in the heck?"
Well, I
But
have claustrophobia, so
and I'm sure there's some people watching this now, and maybe that'll watch it later that may have that fear too. Um, which for that, I'm sorry for putting this creepy clown crawling out from under the bed on here, but I just couldn't help myself. Uh, I went on the AI program I use, GenCraft, and I put in creepy clown crawling out from under bed, and that's one of the things that came there. I was just like, yeah, that's it. That's what I
oh
want to use.
gosh, could you imagine that crawling out underneath your bed?
I would probably be pretty scared if that really
Oh
came
my god.
crawling out from under my bed.
Yeah.
Oh,
After
thank you, Coco. Coco says it's cool. You guys are rocking the shirts.
I was excited to get it and wear it.
Yeah, and me and Candace are also going to be excited for our I Love Robert England
Oh
shirt
yeah,
that I'm
definitely
going to be
excited for that
making
one.
very soon here because we're gonna at least get to see the man and get a picture with him if nothing else.
Fingers crossed.
Mm.
Oh.
But anyway, we're gonna go ahead and dive into this head first. We're gonna dive into the circus tent,
Oh
and
goodness.
we're gonna dig around in here and see what gems we can find here. And I've saved one for last, and I told Candace about it. I'm not gonna mention the title yet because I bet a lot of you, maybe none of you, have seen this movie. Steve had never heard of it. Of course, he says he
Yeah.
never wants to see it again in his life after I had him watch it once. But anyways, um, Candace, do you want to kick us off since you're the co-host with one, or do
Well,
you want me to?
I just want to start off by saying I have a fear of clowns. I know I've said that before. So, watching horror films or any kind of film that has some kind of creepy clown in it is not my favorable decision to want to do. But I have seen some pretty terrifying clowns in my past, and there is a few films that I do like Blood Harvest is one, and I'm sure we'll talk about that one.
Yeah, got that one in my stack.
A lot of people don't like that movie, but I have you know, I like Tiny Tim, so it's amusing to me. It's not the greatest film, but it's a film that I like, you know.
Right.
But I guess I'll let you take off the movies, but I
Okay.
just wanna preface I just want to let you know why I'm afraid of clowns, and I think I've talked about this before on I can't remember if it was on your show or maybe in the comment section or something. When I was a kid, I loved clowns. I was obsessed with the circus. I had books, like the Emmett Kelly stuff, the Hobo Clown. I loved Red Skelton,
Yeah.
and, you know, he had a hobo clown persona, and I still like that. I still like the hobo clown type Emmett Kelly stuff. But my whole room, because my grandmother caught wind of this, she knew I love clowns, and she went on a spending spree for my bedroom. So here I am, early 90s. My room is filled with porcelain clowns. I mean, I have the little porcelain clowns, I have the porcelain doll clowns. My bed, which has nothing to do with clowns, but it's over exaggerated, so I guess it kind of fit with the clown, theme. My
Mm.
bedroom suit, like my bedding, was huge giant crayons. You ever seen those? Remember those big banks and stuff?
Oh, yeah. I
Well,
do.
my bed sheets and the comforter and stuff were big crayons, and I just had a lot of that over exaggerated stuff in my room, like pictures of like happy clowns and crying clowns. I had like clowns that had their pants falling down and stuff, all the weird looking clowns. Well, my mom, I walked in on her one day and she was watching it. So I just sit in the living room, was just watching it, and she was sitting there watching it. And, it scared me to death. I mean, it absolutely horrified me. I seen Tim Curry, I seen his mouth open up and come after little Georgie, and it was over with.
Yeah.
And, I remember that night. I will never forget it, Dana. I remember going back to my room, and I was terrified of my own room. All
Mhm.
these clowns. I mean, when you're so little and you get terrified, it's like stuff comes to life. I don't I'm sure you've watched a horror movie as a kid and you've seen shadows or you've seen stuff, move that really didn't. And
Well, I have a fear of spiders. I still
yeah,
have a fear of spiders, but I'll watch Kingdom of the Spiders, but I am always looking and
yeah,
thinking something's crawling on
it
me.
makes you feel like something's crawling on you. Well, I had the same effect with my room. These clowns, like, slowly, like, turned to look at me or, that's what it felt like, and it's like I was getting swallowed by this like, in a big box of crayons or something. I mean, my imagination was just, like, going wild, and, it got to the point to where I didn't wanna sleep in my room anymore, and my mom's like, "What's going on?" And I told her, and I was like, I'm afraid of all the clowns." So we had to get rid of all of those clowns, box them all up, get rid of even my crayon, like, blankets and stuff I had to get rid of because I had this big fear, like I was getting swallowed by these like, in a crayon box, like a clown was coming after me, and I just knew that Pennywise was in my closet, like, I could feel him in there, and it horrified me. This movie terrified me. I mean, it absolutely terrified me, and then shortly after that, I watched Poltergeist for the first time,
Yeah.
and I think his name was JoJo. Is that what they call it? The JoJo the Clown Doll or whatever? The one
Maybe
that
I can't recall.
but their little boy, Robbie, I think's his name.
Yeah.
He, gets entangled with that clown doll, so, I mean, that didn't help things.
Mm-mm.
So, I have been terrified of this stuff since I was a kid. I remember the first time watching It with Bill Skarsgård, and I love Bill Skarsgård. I had a like, celebrity crush on him, so when I watched it and Chris drugged me in on that one, I did not wanna I protested that, and I was like, "I'm already terrified of Tim Curry," and I did a drawing of Tim Curry's Pennywise
Mhm.
whenever me and Chris were probably still dating. I remember doing that drawing, and I was terrified.
Yeah,
the whole
the whole time you're
the
working on
whole time. And then after I seen It with Bill Skarsgård, for some reason, that one was even more terrifying to me. And I kinda looked at Tim Curry's version a different way. I didn't see it the way that I did before. And then I did a painting of Bill Skarsgård's
mm.
Pennywise, and I was terrified of it. I kept it in the closet after I did after I did the painting. But that's my little, I guess, reason why I hate I don't hate clowns. Like, I'm not as big as I used, I used to be really scared of them, but as you get older, you get more mature, and, like, my son's room is filled with killer clowns, the from outer space, but I don't know, it
But yeah,
still
look at these
hurts
guys.
me.
These guys are just
Yeah,
so
they're
outrageous,
cute,
so
and I was gonna put his shorty, he's got the big animatronic. I was
mhm.
gonna stick him behind me, but I can't get him out, and that would be a big
Oh,
mess, and I started too late, and I was like, "Whatever, I'll do it some other time." But I just wanted to say that before we started this because I think as a person who loves horror, even though I have this fear of clowns, that's what you want when you watch a horror film. You wanna be scared of this, so
yeah, I think we talked or me and somebody was talking about that. Maybe it was me and Chris and TJ were
yeah,
talking about we really wanted to find a movie that actually terrified us,
yeah.
you know?
So, if you want to terrify me, get a really creepy clown, and that's probably gonna terrify me. Now, sometimes they just look ridiculous, and I'm like, "Ah, this doesn't bother
Yeah,
me."
exactly.
But, some people can't even look at them. So, I'm glad I'm not like that. But I'll let you go ahead and do
But
your movies.
they're burning up the chat in here, Candace, so I don't
Okay.
wanna leave anybody out, so before I start and Candace is gonna love me for the one I'm starting out with, uh, so you might wanna cover your eyes, Candace. I'll start talking about it. Um, Darren says, "You seen The Clown at Midnight." Stars Margot Kidder and Christopher Plummer. It came out in 1998 off the back of the Scream success. It's really good. Now, that one I've heard of, but I
Yeah.
don't think I've seen it yet.
I've heard of that one, and I love Margot Kidder and Christopher Plummer, so
Yeah.
if I could work up my nerves, maybe I think Chris has talked about that one.
Now, Out of the Dark, I don't think I'm familiar with that one, starring Divine, of all people, Darren says. That's a late 80s slasher.
Hmm.
So that might be one that I want to check out.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of Divine's movies, but I don't think I've seen that one.
Um, Blissful says that she was like that with her dolls, like you were with the
Yeah.
clowns.
Yeah.
Coco actually saw Tiny Tim at the circus
Oh my
around
goodness.
1985. He looked at me and creeped me out. I think he said something to me. I thought he was such a strange man. He might have been a really good guy.
Yeah. No, he came to Hazard, probably before I was born, maybe in the '80s. And my grandpa seen him. He came to the local radio station here. I don't know what he was doing here or what, the reason. Maybe he had something he was doing, but I think he was on the radio. And my grandpa had seen him. I was like, that's so cool. Could you
Uh,
just imagine seeing him just walking down the street
I know that would be
just
bizarre.
randomly?
Hey, TJ. TJ says that the poltergeist clown didn't have a name in the movie.
Hmm.
Not sure if it was referred to by the cast and crew.
Seems
But
like I don't know if just somebody's called it that or if I've seen it. I thought it was like JoJo or maybe Hobo or something. It's something like that, but maybe I'm mistaken. I don't know. I don't go around looking at it, so I don't know.
that is a creepy clown, and we'll get to that particular
Yeah,
scene here in just a little bit, but um, it's a doozy
yeah.
of a scene. Um, Coco says, "Candace, you are cracking me up." Oh, hey, Victor. Victor says, just a quick drive drive by hello. Super busy right now, so I would check out the replay later. That's cool. Everyone have a great weekend. Well, you do as well, Victor. We appreciate you stopping in. Uh, okay. So Candace is gonna be so mad at me because she just got through talking about this
Oh,
movie.
no.
But Stephen King's It, there's old Tim Curry as Pennywise right there on the front. Now, I will say Pennywise didn't terrify me. I thought he was cool, but when did this come out? Like 19, I guess it was 1990.
90, I believe.
And I was I was in my upper teens, so not like 17 or anything, but I
Yeah.
was, I wasn't as young as Candace was. So,
I was like 5 or 6.
yeah, that makes a
Yeah.
lot of difference. So I was older, so I knew who Tim Curry was. I knew that, hey, this is Tim Curry with makeup on. And I think that I had already read the book by the time I saw this. I want to
Yeah.
say I had. And so I was really excited. This was, I believe, y'all feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this was the first Stephen King miniseries.
It
Other
probably
than
was.
other than Salem's Lot. Like you'd had Salem's Lot and then you'd had
Mhm.
a lot of years, but this is when ABC was saying, from the master of horror, Stephen King, and they were
Yeah.
saying, comes it, and it would show scenes and I was like, holy crap, I gotta watch this. This is gonna be awesome. Because that's I love all of Stephen King's books, but some of them I hold up in a higher regard than others, and it's one of them. I
Yeah.
absolutely love the book. Um, TJ says we got a little audio echo in the background.
Yeah, I hear that, but I don't know where it's coming from. I've tried to adjust my, stuff, and it's not doing anything, so I don't know.
The only
I
thing
hear it when you talk,
Yeah,
so I
the
don't
only
know.
thing I can think of sometimes is somebody might have a window open that's got the
Hmm.
video playing, but if you don't do that, then
Mm,
I don't know, TJ.
don't know either.
That
I can
happens.
hear it, but I don't know where
I
it's
can
coming
hear
from.
it too, but I don't know. Let me check something here.
I've tried to adjust my stuff because I said, "Is that me?" And it could be, but I don't know.
I mean, the only other thing I can think of, and you may not have any, Candace, is I don't hear it now.
I don't either. No.
That's weird.
I don't hear it now, no.
I was gonna say though, sometimes if you have a guest on and there's echo, if one or both people put earbuds or headphones
Oh,
in,
yeah.
it will sometimes stop that, but,
I
uh,
have no clue. I have noise canceling on my thing here, so it shouldn't be doing it, but, who knows? I
let
don't
me
hear it
just
now,
make
though, that you said that.
let me make sure that I've got echo cancellation on mine
Hopefully, it
too.
don't come back. Do we sound alright now? Hopefully, because I don't hear it now.
TJ says, "I'm producing the show from 1,000 miles away." Well, you were trying to be helpful, TJ, and I appreciate that. It's just sometimes I can figure out what's going on. Sometimes
Yeah.
unfortunately, I can't. But I'll talk fast while we're not having the echo. But so when this came out, and I mean, this has a packed cast. You've got Harry Anderson, God rest
Mhm.
his soul,
Yep.
Dennis Christopher, Richard Mazur, Annette O'Toole, Tim Reed, John Ritter, and Richard Thomas. And you've got Tim Curry playing Pennywise in this. Mr. Frankenfurter himself
Yeah.
is playing this very sadistic, very creepy
Yeah,
clown.
definitely.
This was directed by Tommy Lee Wallace, who
Mhm.
was a partner of John Carpenter's. Um, I'm sure most of you remember that.
Yeah. 'Cause
And
wasn't Carpenter wasn't didn't they go to him to, get him to try to come in and do some work on it too?
they may have on this, but I think probably at that time Carpenter just wasn't interested.
Yeah. Now, I will say this about it because I grew up watching the Waltons,
Yeah,
and by the time that I seen this, I very well knew who John Boy was, and, seeing him in that movie that's just terrified me, I was shocked. I was
yeah.
like, "Oh, this is John Boy." You know, as a kid, I seen him, and I was like, "This is John Boy,"
Well,
and it was, like, weird.
what's even worse is I don't know if you've ever seen, I think it may have been a Lifetime movie or something called Stalking Laura, and it had Brooke Shields and Richard Thomas in it, and Richard Thomas was this crazy guy that was stalking her.
Seems like I have seen that. Seems like that's a movie that my mom watched. It's an
Mhm.
older film, right? Older made-for-TV
I think
movie,
so,
right?
yeah.
I think I might have seen that. It sounds familiar.
Oh, Chris says, "No, it was Romero."
Romero, okay.
Yes, okay. Um, TJ said, "He's just a clown transvestite." We could make a new AI song and have that. Um, hey, Ben. Um, but let's talk a little bit about Tim Curry's,
Mhm.
the way he went about, doing the Pennywise character.
Yeah. You know, I seen, watched a documentary on it the other night, and like I said, after watching it, I kinda got a better feeling, I guess, about the movie, and it kinda made me want to go back and rewatch the movie, actually watch it, because
Mhm.
I've not actually seen it all the way through because I was like I said, I was a kid and I was terrified when I first seen it, and I tried to read the book, I got about halfway through it and just couldn't do it anymore, but like I said, I'm different now, and after watching that documentary, it kind of ignited a fire of wanting to go watch it, but just seeing Tim Curry have his input
Mhm.
on how he wanted to do the character. Because everybody who knows Tim Curry knows that he's like a Jim Carrey. His
Yeah.
face is so, iconic. The way that he can look like anything that he wants to look like, he's so expressive, and I seen that they wanted to put a lot of appliances on his face. They wanted big chins and, like, big, like, cheeks, and he's like, "Listen, let me be me and let me use my face. Let me be scary. Don't let this stuff be scary. I
I
will do
think that
that."
was genius. That was genius
Perfect.
on his part.
Yeah, because he scared the hell out of me, I'll just tell you that right
And
now.
he did that all with just them putting regular clown
Mm,
makeup on him and just letting
yes.
him go.
Yeah, because they were wanting to do all this, like, mean looking that's not what's scary. What's
No.
scary is something that is innocent, and it becomes diabolical. That's what's scary, and that
And
is
we're
what
not
works.
distracted by appliances and saying,
Yeah,
"Ooh, that's cool effects work."
yeah,
We're
but,
looking at Tim Curry. We're
yeah,
seeing Tim Curry's eyes. It's just like when Robert Englund played Freddy Krueger
yeah,
for years and years and years. You the eyes were an important part of it, and if
yes,
they had covered all that up, if they had made him put, some contact lenses in
mhm,
that drastically changed his eyes or
yeah.
something like that, I don't think the Freddy character would have worked as well.
It wouldn't, and, I don't think, Pennywise would've worked either.
No.
Because and they did the same thing with Bill Skarsgård, it was just simple makeup, they used teeth and stuff like that, but, um, they both are very expressive with their looks, and they can manipulate their faces in ways that really, really, it's a talent,
Yeah.
and that's why they both work. They have simple makeups, and they're not constricted by appliances on their faces. And it's just it works because they are great actors. Tim Curry is a genius, okay? I mean, I don't think people give him enough credit.
I don't
Really.
think they do either.
I really don't. And I'm I think I'm gonna go and I'm gonna give it another try. If I've watched the new ones, I know I can watch it now, the 90 version. So, I don't know. It's I see it in a different way, I guess I did, years back. So, um, I'm still scared, but I think that because I'm just intrigued. I'm intrigued by after watching that documentary, just seeing how much work went into that film.
And was that the Pennywise documentary?
I don't know. Chris put it on. If he's in
Let
here, he
me
can tell us what
let
it
me
is.
grab my copy of it because I bought a copy of it on Blu-ray.
It was really good.
Um, so this is Pennywise, the story of it. That's the one that I ended up getting.
That
That's
may be it. If Chris comes on
Screenbox
here,
had it. I know Screenbox had it on. People had a Screenbox
yeah, that's
subscription.
it, he said.
Oh,
It's
it's
really
on.
good, really, really good. If you've not seen it, I highly recommend it.
Yeah,
I
this
wish
is
I
a
had got the
really
name
good.
before having to play the guessing game, but it was really good, and it goes in depth with, what they had to do. It shows, like, behind the scenes stuff, and
Yeah.
I remember one of the kids, I forget who it was, one of the kids was talking about how Tim Curry, he would whenever he was in between takes and stuff like that, they'd just see him sitting, in a chair, in full makeup, smoking Marlboros. He just
That's hilarious.
sitting there just smoking. But then I seen something else. I can't remember, somebody posted it was like an interview with Tim Curry, and he was talking about how he couldn't do without his Game Boy. I think's what it was. It was Game Boy, pretty sure, around that
Oh,
time.
yeah.
And he said that somebody stole it because it would take his mind off stuff whenever he was in between takes and stuff, and somebody stole it, and he said he got so mad because it just helped him, I guess, relax.
Yeah,
But
you gotta have, I don't think we as non-actors and actresses realize a lot of times how high pressure that
yeah.
job is.
Mhm.
And they
Mhm.
actually, I've heard more than one person in the movie business say that making a comedy movie is miserable. Making a horror movie is the best fun you'll ever have most of the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Uh, Chris says Brandon Lee played his Game Boy a lot on the set of The Crow.
That's something we ought to cover one time, is just like tragedies on like movies with tragedies or something like that.
Mhm.
There's so much. I didn't realize that so many movies had so much stuff surrounding them, you
Yeah,
know?
and
So,
and I know that. And Wes, if you're still in here, I don't want you to think that I might be stepping on your toes because we would handle it with grace and stuff if we did that. I think it's a great idea. I just don't want anybody to think, well, they're copying Dead Pit and
did
doing.
Deadpan do something like that? I
They
don't
did
know.
that tragedies of Tinseltown.
Oh, well, I didn't know. I'm sorry, I didn't know.
Oh no, it's
Uh,
not a big deal. There's nothing that says that two different entities or two different channels can.
well, me and Chris watches that show. It's called what is that called? It talks about, movies with stuff surrounding them, like Poltergeist or,
Yeah, what was
The
that? Cursed
Crow.
Films or something
Cursed
like
Films,
that?
that's it, yeah, yeah, and I just find that stuff intriguing, I always did. I mean,
And
that's
we could
Poltergeist alone is filled with stuff.
I don't know if Candace could talk about this, but The Exorcist was plagued by a bunch of
Oh,
stuff.
yeah, and what do you mean? It's like, it's not surprising, I guess, is what even Rosemary's Baby,
Yeah.
because they do an episode on that, and I was like,
Mhm.
"What?" The stuff, like, surrounding John Lennon is, like, crazy. I'm like, "Wow."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and Chris makes a good point. He says nobody copies anyone. People are allowed to cover whatever they want, and you are right. And what I think Dead Pit does is they don't solely focus on, excuse me, tragedies that happen surrounding a certain film or people that were
Mhm.
in a film. I think they have had some, but they also like covered like the Brian Peck stuff, the scandal
Oh,
stuff,
yeah.
stuff like that. And so if we focus purely on tragedies that took place in when the movie was being filmed,
Or
surrounding
like
the movie,
yeah, or like creepy stuff surrounding the
creepy stuff,
films
yeah,
and, stuff just like supernatural type stuff because there is a lot, and I didn't realize that there was, so much stuff that just had weird things happen and,
yeah,
um, you know, even like movies like, I don't know, Passion of the Christ, even that I mean, we probably wouldn't be talking about that, but I have read so much stuff, like, surrounding that all this weird stuff happened, and I mean, there's probably movies that we don't even know about that had, like, weird
well, and there
interactions
have
or
been certain locations that movies have been filmed in
mhm, yeah,
that
yeah,
were known to be haunted, and then people that worked on the film said that things happened. They heard disembodied voices, they heard, uh, knockings and
mhm,
bangings, and, uh, cold chills come over
yeah,
them, just different things. It's it's endless, the things that we
it
could talk
is, it
about.
really is.
So,
Maybe
and we
that's just the future reference for a future show
yeah,
maybe.
we could take that and make it our own and do whatever we want with it.
Mhm.
And I think it's a fantastic idea. I don't want somebody popping in here and say, "Wow, so and so's copying off of
Well, I'm
somebody."
not copying nobody because I didn't know that they
Right, exactly. But, I don't want anybody to think, that because I knew about it that I was like,
No,
"Oh,
no.
yeah, let's do that." Mm,
Which I'm sure they wouldn't think that anyway, so
I would hope not,
no.
but anyway, I could spend the whole, 2 hours talking about just it, but I won't because
Yeah.
we got some other movies to talk about. But if you have not seen this and you can tolerate watching, the goings on in this film, I highly recommend it. And
Yeah.
I have not seen the second part of the new It, but the first part I liked. Now,
Yeah.
I know some people said the second part was lousy, but I
Yeah.
talk about that because I haven't seen that
I've
one.
not seen the second one, so I've still not brought myself to watch that one, but I think Chris watched it and he liked it, and thank you, TJ, I appreciate that. Have a new, episode of, Video Dead out on the
There.
Death by Stereo podcast channel, and then at 4 o'clock Eastern Time, we're gonna have another episode of TerrorVision where we talk about 3 episodes of The Munster, so thank you for that. I'll plug my stuff in here a little bit.
That's okay. You do that, and then you got plenty of people that are Blissful's always posting stuff. TJ, everybody wants to help everybody else out around here, and
Mhm.
I think that's great. Um, Hey, Adam. Adam says chapter two was amazing. He says
Yeah.
it's much better than chapter one. So there's a good, fresh perspective on there. I appreciate that,
I
Adam.
think Chris liked it. I didn't go to I think he might have went to the movies, I can't remember if he did. He had dragged me in the first one. So and I've seen it a few times because my brother liked it, and, he was watching it while we was at his house, so I had to watch it again, but I love Bill Skarsgård, so I guess where I had a little crush on him, I was trying to see him in a different I was like, "Well, this is Bill Skarsgård," but it's hard.
Yeah.
It's very hard because he's
Right.
creepy. He's really creepy.
Mhm.
But they say that you see him out of makeup. I don't know if that's true or not, in the second one, so I kinda wanna I wanna watch it. Just have to get up the nerve.
Oops. Hey, X Ray. X Ray says, you guys ever see the 2014 Eli Roth produced Clown? To me, that was a better clown horror movie than the first Terrifier, which is interesting. And, you know, uh, Dark's gonna get me because I didn't pull Terrifier to talk, and I just got Terrifier on Blu-ray.
I've still not seen them. My brother likes them. I don't think Chris likes them, but I've not seen them, so I can't I've seen pieces, bits and pieces of them, but I've never sit down and actually give it a full view, so
Oh goodness.
yeah, I get the vapors over Pennywise. Hey, and Tim Curry ain't bad to look at either.
No,
I don't
I
think.
was gonna say Tim Curry, like especially back in the day,
Mhm.
Tim Curry was a hot
He
commodity.
was,
That's
and
all I can say.
if you look at him and you look at Bill Skarsgård, they favor a lot.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I get the vapors.
Yeah, that's X-Ray's thing. He always says Dana gets the vapors over so. Um, but I'll have to check out that clown movie. I don't think I've seen that one. Darren says, Freakin said if you make a film exposing the devil, then he will do everything he can to stop you from making that film.
Yeah,
And I've heard Freakin say that in interviews.
yeah,
And it totally makes sense. Yeah,
yeah,
the devil doesn't want you putting him in a bad light, even though he's a bad bad entity. But he wants people to come to him.
yeah.
Don't want you to make him look bad. TJ says, Darren, us Catholics say that all the time. Um, Adam says, the only thing bad about chapter 2 is how they pulled off the ritual of Chud. Um, Ben says, Funland, directed by Michael A. Simpson. Oh, I didn't realize that was directed by Michael A. Simpson. He's the guy that did Sleepaway Camp 2 and 3. He
Seems like I've seen that one or bits and pieces of that one because he says Squiggy from Laverne and Shirley plays a clown.
getting revenge on the new owners of the amusement park he works at. I'm intrigued by that
Yeah,
with Squiggy playing.
I think that sounds so familiar. That seems like one I've seen.
Mm. Darren says clown was okay at best for me. I know what Dirk would say. Dirk would say, "No, Terrifier all the way." He loves the Terrifier
My
films.
brother likes them.
I like the first one, but the second one, me and Steve both looked at each other when that one was over, and we were like, "That was almost too much." But
Yeah.
I'm intrigued by the third one. I can't help myself. I saw, like little clips from it, like the teaser, and I was like, "Oh man, I'm gonna have to watch it." Um, Chris says, I like both of the new It Chapter 1 and 2 films. This is going to be controversial, but I enjoy Skarsgård's portrayal of Pennywise over Tim Curry's just because Skarsgård's version is a lot creepier to me. And that's
I
cool.
agree.
I prefer Tim Curry, but Skarsgård did a fantastic job.
Well, I think I've said this before, and I might have said it a while ago. When I seen Bill Skarsgård's version, um, I came out not being frightened of Tim Curry's version anymore. I
Right.
totally, and that's just my perspective. I mean, I was somebody who was terrified. I mean, I couldn't even look at Tim Curry's version.
Mhm.
And when I seen this film, I came out and I wasn't scared anymore. So, but I'm not saying anything about it being, not scary. That's just how I felt when I came out. I
Right.
still am I'll say this. Tim Curry's version is what did it for me. That's what did me in.
Right.
So, I think just seeing this new film that had all this, different kind of effects and stuff like that, we're also talking about a made for TV film
Yeah.
that's made me terrified of clowns. So, it's like you say, apples and oranges.
Right.
You
Exactly.
know what I mean? So, it's both are amazing, and Tim Curry is the OG, so, there you go.
Yeah, that might be another good one for a later episode of Apples and Oranges.
Yeah.
Let's see. Uh, Wes says, I like the first It remake movie. However, the clown isn't scary at all. It looks like a clown from a Rob Zombie
I
music
think he's
video.
terrifying.
100% opposite of the original It, which was legit terrifying. I can see it from both sides, though. I'm trying to be, objective about it because I liked a lot of things about Bill Skarsgård's version of
Mhm.
Pennywise. But if, this is one instance where I'm not gonna do my shining mismatched kind of stuff. But if somebody was holding a gun to my head and said, which version of it or which version of Pennywise do you prefer?
Mhm.
I would say Tim Curry.
Yeah.
Not because I'm saying Bill Skarsgård did a bad job, he didn't. It's just
You
Tim
also
Curry
have
is
a
my
love for that
favorite.
film too, right? And
Yeah,
it's also a special probably a special film to you as well,
yeah,
and that makes you look at things a whole lot differently,
right.
as well, and because you gotta take in a lot of things whenever you're looking at something. See, I was absolutely just terrified of Tim Curry, and I still am. It's just because I come out looking at it different doesn't mean I don't find it creepy. I
Right.
do. Those feelings of what I felt when I was a kid did not go away. It's just when I went and I seen the new It, there's scenes in that film that are really, really creepy. That doesn't even have to do with like looking at Pennywise. There's a scene where this like burnt boy without a head, like in that library scene. You know what I'm talking about? And
Yeah,
they seen him, like, in the tree, and he starts I get sick thinking about it. That was
yeah.
so creepy. I mean, it's all in the way that you feel, I guess. So
I think what the new It had that the old one didn't, and because we gotta keep in mind too, again, just like Candace said, the first one was a made-for-TV movie.
mhm.
They couldn't get away with a lot of that stuff. They got away with just as much as they could, and it was terrifying what they could get away with.
Yeah.
But they could not physically, they couldn't even do, effects-wise. They
Yeah.
couldn't do the things back in 1990 that they could do with the new It.
Exactly, exactly.
And, it's
Yeah.
going to, naturally, it's gonna affect people differently to
Yeah.
see those things.
Mhm.
Whereas the miniseries, you had to focus mainly on what Pennywise was doing.
Yeah.
So
That's
that all
true.
fell on Tim Curry's shoulders, and again,
Mhm.
he did a fantastic
He
job
was
in doing
perfect. I
it. Mhm.
as much as I love Bill Skarsgård's version, and I've not even really seen like how you ever probably a lot of people on here, they've seen probably the miniseries. They've probably seen it so many times they can tell it to you frontwards and backwards without even watching it. Just from my point of view and just seeing it that time as a kid, I can tell you this, I know that he was perfect, and nobody's gonna replace him, not even Bill Skarsgård, nobody. And as much as I am more terrified of the new one, Tim Curry is Pennywise.
Yeah.
So, it's all in the way that you look at it. But he's the one that did it. He's the one that made me terrified. I mean, I was just living my life with this clown living free life, and I seen that,
It
and it ruined it for
destroyed
me. He
Candace.
ruined my childhood.
Tim Curry
He ruined
ruined
it.
ruined Candace's
He
childhood.
ruined it. I couldn't even go to
He'd
the
probably
circus
be
anymore.
Candace, to tell you the honest truth, he'd probably be proud of that.
Well, he did his job, and that's what I'm
Yeah,
saying, and this was a made for TV movie.
yeah,
Like I said, it was a huge production, and what he did just by expression alone was just horrifying.
mm, exactly.
I'll stand on that hill, and I'm sure everybody agrees, but it's
X-Ray says, I tried to watch Funland. Think I took it out after 15 minutes. That doesn't sound positive. He also says Friedkin gave David Gordon Green the Friedkin curse, and that's why The Exorcist Believer didn't do well. I think the reason it didn't do well is because it's a crappy film. I mean, in
well, I
my
don't wanna watch it, so I can't tell you.
opinion. You don't need to, Candace. You don't need to. Um, Chris says Funland is on Tubi, so if anybody does want to watch it on Tubi for free, you can go do that. Oh, Uncle Bill's in here. He says, "Ah, shit, Crater." I'm not sure if he's talking about Funland being on Tubi or something else. Okay, so Adam says he's read the book It 3 times. The new films are the closer interpretation of that story. Plus, the cast, kids and adults, and remakes are way better. Yeah. Now, I respect your your right to that opinion, Adam, but I would have to respectfully disagree on that. The cast was great, but I think the kids in the original miniseries were fantastic. And then the adult counterparts, I mean, we already talked about all the great people we had in that, and I just think that they melded those two, the kid version and the adult version, so well. And also, we got to remember the time period. They shifted the time period to the 80s in the new one.
Yeah.
When Stephen King, and I know that that's small potatoes, but Stephen King's original book, it starts out in the 50s, I believe, maybe mid to late 50s, when the kids are preteens or whatever, or they might be, 12, 13, something like that. But then it moves ahead and they're adults, and I don't know. I just thought that the interpretation in the remake was not bad. It wasn't
Yeah.
horrible. Um, but this always, and it might go back to what Candace said. I grew up watching this
Yeah.
version. And so in my heart, and I read the book too. I believe I finished the book not long before the miniseries came out. And the book has things in it that they're never going to be able to put into a movie.
Yeah.
We we've talked about, the one thing, and people have different ideas about that. Um, and this may be controversial, but I'm just going to say it once, and that's all I'm going to say about it. I feel like within the book, it would be exploited if they put it in the movie. I
Yeah.
don't think they should ever put it in the movie. But in the book, in the context of the book, if you read the whole novel and you follow these kids and the adults throughout the entire book, when it gets to the part where all of the boys, because remember, Beverly was the only girl in this group of 7 kids, okay? So when you get to the part where each boy goes to Beverly
Mhm.
and is intimate with her, I'm trying to be as nice as I can be about this. I don't think Stephen King, I don't pretend to understand exactly what was going on in Stephen King's mind, but I don't think Stephen King meant it to be a ew, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
disgusting, they're doing something wrong thing. They loved Beverly, and I'm not trying to make this a sick thing about children having sex with each other. I'm saying those boys loved Beverly.
Mhm.
And by them going to her and being that close with her, they gave her the strength. And then
Yeah.
when they went to fight it, that gave her the strength to be able to help them as a whole defeat
Yeah.
Pennywise.
Now, I seen somebody, I can't remember where I read that at, but somebody had described that scene. I guess they interpreted it this way, that they believe that Stephen King put that in there because Pennywise fed off of children's innocence. That was something, that's why he went after kids and stuff like
Mhm.
that. So, what takes away your innocence?
That's a good point. That's a very,
Yeah.
very good point.
And he wanted to put that in there, or they believed he wanted to put that in there to take that away from Pennywise because it took away part of their innocence, and it made him weaker
Mhm.
and
I
made them
like that
stronger.
theory. That's very, very interesting
Yeah,
theory.
and I believe that to me makes a lot of sense.
It does.
So,
And it also, in a way, turned those kids from children into adults by that
yeah, yeah,
and I love it that, Candace and me and probably some of the rest of you in the chat, some people might be afraid to say, okay, that scene was okay in the book. But I'm not trying to rationalize it. It is what it is.
I
And
didn't get that far in the book. I'm glad I didn't.
you can either take it as a nasty, dirty thing
Yeah.
that Stephen King should have never been put in a book, or you can look at it from some of the perspectives that we put
Yeah.
out here. Okay. So anyway, I promise we're going to get off the it train. We're going to go to this next one. I didn't know, I knew that it would be popular, but I didn't know it'd be that popular. We talk almost an hour on that one. Um, Chris says James Arnaz was the OG thing, but he ain't got shit on Wilford Brimley. Wes says the remake clown is like something lame from a haunted house. I wouldn't go that far.
I think it's all at what you find scary. So to me, he was scary, but I'm afraid of clowns. So
He
maybe
says
somebody who's not
Skarsgård.
afraid.
He says Skarsgård does great, but the look of the clown itself is lame in my opinion. Overly done, fake haunted house, etc. Uh, Uncle Bill says, Adam, buddy, you and I will have to strongly disagree on the casting. The adult casting It too was awful. The kids in the original It were all amazingly well cast and to this day hold up. I think Uncle Bill's on my side of the fence with that. But Adam, we're not putting you down for your opinions on it. We're just putting our opinions out there as well. Um, Uncle Bill said, plus he turned into a little baby It and they insulted him to death.
Oh my gosh. And that's in the second one?
I guess.
Because I don't remember.
Because people wanted to talk.
I've not seen the second one.
Uncle Bill said, which was amazing that they could top the shittiness of the spider ending from the 90 version.
Oh,
However,
yeah.
they succeeded.
That was to me, I found that lame as well, the spider ending. I
TJ
didn't find it
said,
scary.
I think Candace mentioned this, but he says trivia. Colorophobia is fear of clowns.
Yeah, I have it. It's not as bad as it used to be though, thank goodness. But I still get creeped out.
Uh, Chris says the ending to It Chapter 2 is definitely the weakest point to those new films. Coco says Tiny Tim versus Tim Curry. I would probably, in my opinion, Tim Curry would win out in that, but I
Tiny Tim's
still,
awful creepy.
yeah, Tiny Tim's pretty creepy though. Um, oh, Adam says the cast in the 90 miniseries was atrocious, Uncle Bill. Richard Thomas, John Ritter, stiff ass Harry Anderson. Oh my gosh. Nah, dude, that cast was cringy and dry as 3-week-old toast. oh, oh, lordy. Okay.
It's
Well,
good to see everybody's different opinions.
yeah. Wes says the only Exorcist film that was a huge financial success was the first one. It's not a franchise series. I predicted it months before it came out. Yes, you did, Wes. I remember that.
The only Exorcist film that I can say that I halfway like is that one with the nun. I think it's part 3.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about? It's got this
Yeah.
in the hospital.
Yeah.
My brother tricked me into watching that. I didn't even know it was an Exorcist film. Yeah. He said, "Come in here and watch this with me." And he already had the
Oh,
title
shame
screen
on
off of
him.
it.
He shouldn't have done
Well, who's in that? What's his name?
George C. Scott's in it.
George C. Scott. Yeah. Yeah. That was good. I actually like that one. Didn't bother me.
That one is based on William Peter Blatty's book. He's the guy that wrote The Exorcist, but he wrote
Mm,
the book Legion, and that's what
mm,
Exorcist 3 is based
yeah.
on.
Isn't oh my gosh, his name just flew out of my head. I love him. Chucky.
Right,
What's his
Brad Dourif.
Brad
Yeah, Brad
Dourif?
Dourif's in there. Yeah. Yeah, he's great in that too. Um, Darren says We All Scream for Ice Cream was a good Master of Horror episode. William Forsythe is really good in it. There's tons of rubbish clown slasher films in recent years. Clown de Geist, Clown Town are bad. Yeah, we could talk about a buttload of like really bad ones. Um, so Adam is 42. I mean, Uncle Bill asked how old he was. He says, right there with you, dude. Grew up watching that 90s miniseries. I'll take the remakes over that version any day of the week, 10 times on Saturday and 58 times on Sunday. Um, and again, Adam, we respect your opinion. We may not agree with it, but we respect it.
Although
Everybody,
I'm sure there's people that agrees with him as well in here.
oh, I'm sure there is too. Um, oh, Chris, don't call it a gangbang. That's where I think that's where it's got the bad rap because people consider it a gangbang. They didn't all just. I'm not trying to be vulgar here, but they all didn't all come to her at once and pile up on her and have some kind of orgy. I mean, we're not talking about. They came to her one at a time and had an intimate moment.
Oh my god.
Oh, Lordy, we can get into some discussion. Wes says, I go into a movie to enjoy it. I give 0% of a damn about the source material. It has nothing to do with the movie. If they change something for the better, like Kubrick's creative choices, it's fine. Hey, save all that for the next apples and oranges. 'Cause if you and Uncle Bill are on there with me, we'll dig into that. Uh,
Have you ever watched, my brother and Chris love these movies. They're called Hell House, I think maybe LLC. Have you
yeah,
ever
those
seen
are
those?
great. Yeah,
Those clowns, like mannequins or whatever they are. No, those are creepy. I think they're mannequins. Yeah, they're supposed to be mannequins, but they move and stuff.
yeah. But those, if you haven't seen those guys and gals, you need to because they are
They scare
fantastic.
me.
They're scary. They're pretty creepy.
They are. They really are. It's like a found footage type film. I think there's 3 of them. Pretty sure.
Oh, good Lord. I can't read through all this going back and forth, but if y'all want to read that in the okay, okay, I have to disagree with the Beetlejuice 2 or Beetlejuice. I'm excited about it, Wes.
I'm nervous about it, but I thought the trailer looked good. So,
Mhm.
it's my
The
favorite film of
trailer's
all
what I
time.
saw and got me excited
I
about it.
was very, very scared because, I mean, this is a movie that you don't mess with for me. This has been my favorite movie of all time for as long as I can remember, and, I said, please don't remake this or do a sequel, just leave it
Yeah.
alone." But when I seen the trailer, I thought it looked good. It looked true to the original film.
When they showed Michael Keaton too, I was like, "Oh, yeah, there we go, he's
So,
back."
I am hooked to see how this plays out, and I'm hoping and praying that it's gonna be okay. 4
Uh,
Hell House films, Chris says now.
uh, okay. So, anyway, but it's at now after 2, so we've had a heck of a discussion on it in
I
the
figured that one would be popular.
but we'll move on to Blood Harvest with Tiny Tim. We went from Tim Curry to Tiny Tim. How do we do that? I don't know, but we did. It's just how I pulled these off of my.
Well, I like Ghostbusters Afterlife, Wes, so I like all the Ghostbuster films.
Now,
Even the crappy woman remake, as people called it, I think it's good, so maybe I just like trash, I don't know.
no, I don't think it's the. Um, I can't say the Beetlejuice 2 is going to be a piece of shit.
I'm hoping it's not. Now, it could be, but
I mean,
like I said,
we could all watch it and say that was the biggest piece of shit I ever seen. But excuse my language, but Or we could come out of there saying, "Wow, that was refreshing.
Yeah.
That was good."
Yeah, I'll tell you, I'm gonna be very critical of it because it's just like I said, it's a movie that you don't mess with for me, so whether I love it or hate it, I'm going to be very strongly one way or
Beetlejuice
another.
is the holy grail of films for Candace, so
It is.
don't mess that up. Um, TJ, yeah, good point. He thought Thanksgiving was going to suck, but it didn't. And a lot of us were afraid that it was going to suck. And I went into it with as much of an open mind as I could, and I enjoyed it. It was probably the one and only Eli Roth movie
I've still
that I
not seen
enjoyed.
that one. Me and Chris needs to get on that and watch that because 'cause I've heard, that it was good, so
Uh, Chris says you should go from Tim Curry to Tiny Tim to Tiny Lister Jr. and talk about the Friday movies and no holds barred.
gosh.
I don't know. That might be completely going off the rails. Oh, anyway, back to Blood Harvest and Tiny Tim. All I got to do is say, look at that face on the cover of this Blu-ray.
That's
I
a face even a mother couldn't love, huh?
mean, that creeps me out just looking at it. You don't even have to watch the movie. Just look at that face.
And, he's basically being himself in that film. Even when he's trying to, like, be
Exactly.
creepy and brings those flowers to that girl and Jill or whatever her name is.
Yep. I don't know if y'all can see that, but there he is with the flowers down there in that first picture. And I picked these flowers especially for you, Jill. Don't you want them? And he's like, and
You're
it's
like,
like
"Oh,
he's going to
girl."
take out a butcher knife and stab her to death if she don't take these flowers.
I mean, just honestly, the film is a dud, but it's a fun dud to
Yeah,
me.
yeah, exactly. I agree with that.
You don't go, "Well, geez, this is the greatest film ever." And some people might. I'm sure there's somebody out there that absolutely just loves everything about it.
I mean,
But, I mean
really, it's basically at its core level, it's low budget
yeah,
schlock.
it is.
It is. I ain't even gonna lie about it. The acting is terrible in it. Um, Tiny Tim, believe it or not, is probably the best actor in the entire film because you want to see what he's going to do next because it's so crazy.
Oh
Um,
my gosh.
and I don't know about anybody else. And if you haven't seen Blood Horse, you might want to step away because I'm going to give away a little piece of information here. But there was no way that I thought Tiny Tim was ever at any point in time the killer. He was probably one of the biggest red herrings ever put on film.
Yeah, yeah, old Mervo. Is that his name?
Yeah, Marvelous Mervo, and he goes around singing about himself too,
Mhm, yeah,
and it sounds so something that makes that so creepy about him singing is when he's singing the Marvelous Mervo song, it
mm,
sounds like a song from a kid's television show, and that is just so eerie.
yeah, he's I don't know, he's creepy just normal, because he's so eccentric,
Yeah.
but when you put him in that clown makeup and just turn him loose in a horror film, it's you're like, "Oh gosh."
So, TJ
Chris
said
hates that movie.
Tiny Tim was a personality, not an actor, so I guess that's what the director was leaning into.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
would imagine
I agree.
so, and, um, so yeah, Chris does hate this movie because he says, "Gary and Jill went up the hill to escape the shitty movie."
Yeah, he hates it. He
He
does, he
says
hates
he
it.
wished he would that Tiny Tim would have been the killer. He might have liked the movie better.
And if I wasn't a fan of Tiny Tim, then I probably would hate it too, but I'm a fan, so I'm a
I
fan
don't
of his
know.
eccentric
I think
ways.
I think in addition to, like, watching, having them wind up Tiny Tim and let him go, basically. In
Yeah,
addition to seeing that, and that's entertaining,
yeah.
the sheer audacity that this movie got made and Yeah, it's schlocky. Yeah, terrible acting all around. Special effects are pretty good in it. There's some
Yeah.
blood thrown around. People getting hung upside down, their throats slit, and blood running all over the place. So
Mhm.
I would I would think that Chris would have liked this movie a little bit better because it is a slasher film.
Yeah.
Pretty much, at its core, it's a slasher film.
Yeah.
And what are you doing, Reggie? Are you wanting to say hello to everybody? Uh-huh. Say hello to everybody, buddy.
Oh,
He's a big old ham and a big old baby.
Ghost does that. I'm surprised he's not been jumping. You see him a lot.
No, you can't quit that.
Uh-oh.
He's trying to get my killer clowns mug and lick the soup
He
out of
smells
it.
some food.
Um, so what else can we say about Blood Harvest? Other than some people think it's a shitty movie and some people like it for pure entertainment value,
Yeah,
basically.
it's a fun, crappy movie. I mean, if you
Yeah,
want a fun, crappy movie for have some friends together and you wanna make fun of a movie,
there
it
you
would
go.
be a good one.
Yeah, this is a good audience participation
It
film.
is. It
That's
is.
that's exactly what it is.
Mhm.
It's a one. It would be if you do drink, it would probably be one to do, the drinking game with,
Yeah.
but do it safely and don't drink too much because you don't want to end up sick like I did after the champagne and bullets fan commentary. Oh
Yeah.
Lord, have mercy. That was not good. Um, hey, I do pay attention to Reginald. I pay attention to him all the time. Um, TJ says, Crater, when you finally watch Terror on Tour, then consider the Tiny Tim movie quality.
My gosh, is it that bad?
God, don't tell me that, TJ. We're going to be having another watch along for it, and I'm going to be having it late when I do it so that Wes can be on there. Oh, for goodness sakes, dogs. Zoe, don't do that, girl. Zoe's trying to play, but I'm afraid some of the other dogs might think she's wanting to hurt them. Wes says, "Is it just me, or doesn't it seem like Daner has talked about Blood Harvest 74 times?" No, I don't think I've talked about it 74 times, but
You can make that happen, can't you, Dave?
if I wanted to talk about it 74 times, by golly, I'd talk about it 74 times. Oh, this is my channel. I'll talk about it 174 times if I want to. Um, so, Candace, you have any other additional tidbits you want to add about Blood Harvest?
Not that I can think of.
Okay.
I think we've covered that all.
Okay. So, the next one I have now, I know y'all, before I even mention it, you're going to say, well, that's not a clown, Dana. But it's clown like. And I'm going to explain why. And I wanted to kind of mix it up a little bit. But this is Dario Argento's Deep Red. So, oh my goodness. Reggie also lets himself out. If the inner
Uh-oh.
door is open, he will open the outer door. Sammy, be quiet. Um, but anyway, there is a big scene in Deep Red. There's a lot of incredible scenes in Deep Red. I absolutely love this movie. I love it more than Suspiria, and that might be considered very controversial.
I've
Uh,
never seen it, so I don't.
Deep Red, oh man, you need to see it sometime, Candace. There is one scene where this guy is in his house or his apartment and he feels a little uneasy. And all of a sudden, this puppet that's referred to as the mad puppet
Mhm.
comes out of the closet and it's going
My god.
like that. And you just got to see it to really get the full effect.
Is that the clown? Is it like a clown puppet?
No, it actually looks like a creepy ventriloquist dummy
Oh, okay.
doll.
Yeah, I like ventriloquist dummies and stuff like that. I always found those
I
creepy.
Uncle Bill, I know it's a puppet, but it's clown-like. The way it laughs and stuff like that when it comes out of the closet, that's why I'm including it. I wanna, mix it up a little bit here. Um, but anyway, he's probably just doing that because I said somebody's gonna say, "That's not a clown, Dan." But close your eyes and listen to it laugh and stuff, and you'll be thinking clowns. And so this is merely a distraction to the guy. The killer is already in his house, but the killer has set up this mad puppet to distract the guy, and then the killer takes over, and that is one of the most painful scenes to watch. You've got the killer taking this guy's head and slamming it against furniture, and like it's breaking his teeth out and stuff
Ooh.
like that. It was so painful to watch, but then yet you can't turn away. But the part that I wanted to pinpoint was when the puppet comes out of the closet. The laugh and the way it's moving and stuff like that
Yeah.
seems very clown-like to me. Um, Wes says, "That's not a clown, it's just a puppet." Okay, well, I'm not gonna split hairs with y'all, so, um, Chris says, "Deep Red is super creepy, but probably not in my top 5 Argento films. I'm very particular with his films." And I get that, Chris. I get that. Um, Wes
No,
says,
I
"That."
don't like Puppet Master.
Oh, no, I bet you don't. Wes says that thing inspired the Jigsaw puppet. Yeah, I could see that. Although I think the one in Deep Red is better.
We'll talk
Uh,
about Dead Silence if you wanna go about puppets and stuff.
we could have a whole other show on puppets.
I
And
love Dead Silence. I think that's probably the best, like, puppet.
believe it or not, Candace, I still need to see that movie.
You've never seen it? Oh my goodness. I love
But
Dead
I need
Silence.
to. I really,
Mary
really.
Shaw.
Um, Coco says, "I saw a bunch of stuff during my drunk era and pretty sure I saw Deep Red, but don't remember much about it." Uncle Bill says, "This stream is now null and void." No, it's not. We're still on here. TJ said, "It's not a clown, but relax. This is just a show. LOL. Mystery Science Theater 3000 reference." No, I'm not substituting puppets for clowns. I'm saying go back, watch Deep Red, and close your eyes when the mad puppet comes out of the closet, okay? And tell me you don't visualize a clown there. Uh, no, I don't think she wants to talk about Puppet Master Wes. Chris says he'll talk about Puppet Master films all day. Well,
He
maybe I
loves
can
them.
do a Puppet Master stream and I'll have Chris on and he can help me talk about them. Coco says she wanted to be a puppeteer. She says she loves them.
You know
Okay.
what film that I loved, Dana, growing up, and I still love him, but he's creepy as hell, and that's Bozo.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Bozo.
He'd come on WGN in
Yep.
Chicago, and I would watch him every time he'd come on. I always wanted to be on there and do that little bucket game, but I was scared of him too, especially after watching It, but I kept on watching him. But he's creepy.
Excuse my language, Wes, but I think that's bullshit. You say you just tried it. Don't visualize a clown. It sounds more like a puppet to me. You didn't have time to get that queued up and get it to that part. Um, Wes says Cookie was creepier than Bozo.
Cookie was creepy. Yeah, he was.
If we want to talk about creepy puppets, though, Lady Elaine was always a creepy puppet
Yeah.
on
I
Mr.
love Mr.
Rogers.
Rogers. She
I
was
love Mr.
creepy.
Rogers, but oh man.
She was creepy, but I love Lady Elaine, though. But she had that big, long red nose. That was and that was creepy.
Uncle Bill, I don't recall you giving me any money to do this stream. Me and Candace are free agents on this. So we can't give you any money back because you didn't give us anything. All right. So moving right along is some people might think this one is a stretch too, but the Fun House, the Toby
Mm.
Hooper film, there are they may not be real people dressed as clowns, but is that or is that not a clown on the front of that? I believe it is, right?
It looks like one,
It looks clownish to
like a
me.
marionette type.
And what could be scarier or creepier than going into a fun house and seeing animatronic clowns or even people dressed as clowns? You're in the fun house, you're in the dark, and these things are all around you.
I
Lady
do
Elaine
too.
has rosacea.
I do too, Wes. So I guess we're twins.
Chris says that Lady Elaine just reminds him of Phyllis Diller.
Yeah, definitely. And I love Phyllis Diller. She does.
Mhm. But the store, how many of y'all have seen Funhouse? Have you seen the Funhouse, Candace?
I think that's one that Chris had watched a long time ago. I don't really know a lot about it, though. I can't remember anything from it.
Well, it's basically a group of young people, two couples, go to the carnival and they get it in their heads that they're going to spend the night in the fun house. They're going
Yeah.
to sneak it or they're going to go in the fun house, but they're going to get out of those little carts that
Yeah.
take you in there.
Is that the
And
one
they're
where
going
they look in through a hole and they see that guy that's got something wrong with him with
he's
his
got the
face?
Frankenstein
I've
mask
seen it.
on.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah. Uh, but I think Toby Hooper did a really great job with this. This is a fun
Yeah,
slash
that one is good. I know what you're talking about now. Yeah.
and it's creepy too because when you see the look of the killer when he takes the Frankenstein mask off,
Yeah.
that is epic.
Yeah.
And you've got the drool and everything coming. You even actually see the drool coming out of the
Yeah.
Frankenstein mask before he takes it off.
Ew.
Uh, you don't remember a single clown in the fun house besides the cover? I thought for sure that I remembered seeing at least one maybe in there. But, but anyway, I know I might be stretching on a couple of these, but I just go with it. Um, Chris says Funhouse is his favorite Toby Hooper film. Ben says Funhouse is genuinely creepy. I'm not even going to read that, Wes, about the gypsy and stuff. So, uh, oh yeah, I had actually forgotten about that. TJ, good save. He says, "Oh wait, the little brother at the beginning has a clown mask. I think he does, and that is okay." Since TJ brought that up, this is one of the greatest openings to a slasher film. I won't say horror film, but to a slasher film I've ever seen because we have this girl getting into the shower and somebody is, it appears that they've got a knife. They're coming into the bathroom. We automatically think psycho reference, don't
Yeah.
we? So pulls back the shower curtain, and you think that this person is going to stab the girl to death. And we see the knife go towards her stomach, and then it just bends because it's a rubber knife and it's her brother. And she tells him, she says, I am going to get you so bad. You won't know when, you won't know where, but I'm going to get you. And so that comes into play a little bit later in the film, and
Yeah.
especially towards the end of the film. Um, I have not seen the Killjoy films, Chris, so I couldn't comment on those. Yeah, he is a little bit of a pervy little brother. But I mean, I just think that that's a little brother thing. I don't think that they're wanting to necessarily get their jollies off of seeing their sister naked. I think they just think, I want to make her scared. I want to make her scream.
Yeah.
Not about seeing her naked or seeing her boobs or something like that. Um, Let's see. TJ says, I think partly why Spielberg got Hooper for Poltergeist was Funhouse. And it could have been. Very well could have been. Wes says, laughing my ass off. She loves the movie, but don't know what I was talking about. Shame, shame, Dan. What was we talking about? Don't know what I was talking. I don't know. Oh, if you're talking about the gypsy, I know what happened there. I just said I was choosing not to talk about it. Um, okay. So, Candace, anything else you want to bring up about the fun house?
No.
Okay. All right. So, here's another creepy clown doll movie. So, we're getting back on track here, people that said I wasn't talking about clown movies. We're not talking about witchery, but Ghost House. Ghost
Ooh.
House has a very, very creepy clown doll. If you don't believe me, go watch this movie. This movie's not a really well made movie. It has some bad acting in it. It is a foreign movie. And oh gosh, I'm trying to think who was the director of this. He didn't use his real name. He went by Hubert Humphrey or something like that.
Mm.
That's who was listed as the director. Um, but there's a little ghost girl that well, we start out with a couple and their daughter Henrietta has evidently killed the family cat
Oh
down
my
in the
gosh.
basement, because it starts out the dad hears a cat squalling. He goes down into the basement, finds Henrietta there with that creepy clown doll, and the cat's dead on the steps. And he says, Henrietta, how could you do this to one of God's creatures?
Yeah.
And he just doesn't understand why she's done this thing. So we find out later on that he is, I believe the father is a mortician, and that he stole this clown doll from a child that had died, and they wanted
Oh.
to bury the clown doll with the child, and instead he
Ooh,
stowed it and took it at home to his daughter instead
that's
of burying
weird.
it with the child that had passed away. So I think that that's what causes all the problem, because you don't mess with things like that. So I think what happens is the clown doll possesses Henrietta and makes her do terrible things.
Mhm.
So what she ends up doing in connection with the clown doll is the parents get killed in a very gory way in this opening scene. Now, previous versions of Ghost House, like the VHS versions and stuff, you could not really see the effects, which was a shame because the effects are one of the best things about this particular film.
Mhm.
So the parents get killed off. We are to assume that Henrietta died as well. So we fast forward to modern times, at least modern times when this movie came out. I don't know what they're barking at it now. But anyway, um, there is a man or a young guy who is using, I guess, what you would refer to as like a ham radio.
Yeah.
And he's, just playing around with it one night. And he hears a voice come on there that, this disembodied voice that says, who are you? What do you want? And then he screams and then it cuts off. So somehow, and I don't know if you can do this or not, I guess you could with radio signals. Somehow, through the radio signal, he's able to trace where this voice came from.
Hmm.
And it's this big old house, and it's the house where Henrietta and her family lived.
Oh.
They supposedly died. There's another group of people there that also have a ham radio. And I guess they're on their way to somewhere else, but they stopped off at this place. I don't know why they thought this would be a good place to stop off at, but they just kind of set up shop there for a little bit, for a couple of days or something. So the young guy and his girlfriend come in and they say, "Is everybody all right here?" Because, they explain what happened and all that. And at first, the other people were kind of skeptical. They're like, that nothing's going on here. We just come here to stay for a couple of nights and then we're going to move on. Well, about that time, the creepy little ghost girl starts showing up with that clown doll. And that clown doll, when it shows its razor sharp teeth at you, bad stuff is going to be happening to the person that sees the ghost girl and the clown doll. So you have things, sharp blades flying off of fans and things and cut
Yeah.
people and people drown. I don't know what this guy was drowning in. I don't know if it was acid or what it was, but it basically took his skin off. So
Ew.
I'm assuming it was some kind of acidic substance of some sort. But again, this is not a good film. I'm not even going to lie to you and say that it's a good film, but it's an entertaining, fun film, and it's
Yeah.
a film I remember watching when I was a kid. And so it's probably a lot of it's that nostalgia factor. You haven't seen Ghost House then, right, Candace?
No, I've never seen it, no.
Okay. If you can tolerate the creepy clown doll in there, I would recommend it. At least one watch, anyway. Um, TJ says, "What about Day of the Dead? There's a zombie clown in
Mhm.
that for like 20 seconds." Well, yeah, I don't have that in my stack to talk about today, but um, Chris says, "Never seen Ghost House. I have it here somewhere, though." There you go. You and Candace can watch it together. Um, so I'm trying to not have us run out of time because I had a lot of fun talking about
There's
it.
a few that I would like to talk about too, Dana, if just whenever you get done.
Oh, yeah. You take the reins.
Nothing in depth or anything like that. The stuff I'm going to talk about is stuff that probably people might not even be interested in, but um one that I want to mention, and it's not a horror film at all. I don't know if you'd call it maybe a thriller, but I love silent films. I know a lot of people don't like them. A
I
lot of
like
people don't.
silent films.
But if you want a recommendation of a good one to watch, Lon Chaney stars in a film where he's a clown that I love. It's called He Who Gets Slapped. I don't know if you've ever seen it or looked
I
into it, but
haven't. I need to try to look that one up.
I won't give away what it's all of it's about or anything like that, but he's basically a scientist at the beginning of the film. His name's Paul Beaumont, and he's got a wife. I think her name's Mary, and they're poor. So this Baron, I think it's Baron Reginald, maybe is his name, invites him to come live in his mansion with him, and he's going to help sponsor him, I guess, and be his, help fund his research and all that stuff because he's trying to prove theories on mankind. So, and he's dedicated his whole life to this work. And finally, it comes to a scene at the beginning where his wife Mary and this Baron is sitting in this room, and Paul comes rushing in, and he's proved his theory. I've proved all my theories. I'm ready to go in front of this council of the sciences. So that Baron sets it up for him, or tells him, he's going to set it up and all this good stuff. So that night, you see Mary, his wife, go and she steals a key to this safe that Paul has put his research in. And she steals the papers and gives them to, I guess, the Baron. I don't know if he, like, copied them down or anything like that. It doesn't really show anything like that, but the next scene, it shows Paul at this council of the science where all these scientists are there, and they're gonna be presented that work. The Baron is up in front of these men, and he is given Paul's work as his own. And Paul is just sitting here looking, and he's like just in disbelief. He's shocked. And whenever the Baron gets done, he gets up and he just confronts the Baron. And at first, he's like, "Well, he's my friend. You know, he'll tell you this is my work." And the Baron just totally just puts him down. He's like, "This is a starving student that I took in. He's crazy."
Mm-hmm.
And just in an instant, that Baron slaps him, and all these men start laughing at him. And his life right then and there just broke. His whole life's work has just been stolen by this, conniving person who, he's rich already. He don't need money. So, it's just, I guess, a slap in the face.
Right.
So he goes home and just buries himself and his wife, and he's just a broken. And then the Baron enters, and he finds out then that Mary had been having an affair with the Baron, and she's running off with him, and she says that he's nothing but a clown, and she slaps him and laughs at him. And his whole life then is just he's lost everything, nothing to live for, and it's really to me I get emotional watching that because it's like you've seen this man just lose everything, and fast forward years down the road, he has just been so consumed with, and I actually wrote it down because there's a quote, because they have silent films have these cards that you read, because I would never remember the quote if I hadn't. But after that scene, when Mary leaves him, it says, "The agony of that night exhausted Paul, Beaumont's power to suffer. For
Mm-hmm.
there is a limit to what men can suffer and live," which means he couldn't even suffer like a normal person. He went insane.
Yeah.
So fast forward years down the road, he's now a clown in the circus who has become this big act, like he's the main act, the main attraction. What he does, and his name is He Who Gets Slapped. That's his name. That's his
Mm-hmm.
clown, he just goes by that now. And his act is every night he gets slapped hundreds of times in front of all this audience, and he just laughs at them. He's like he's reliving those humiliating moments, but not going into everything. It goes into where there's a horseback rider performer, like a daredevil type guy. His name's Benzo, and there's another woman that comes in there. Her name's Consuela, and she's like this count's daughter, and the count has lost all his money. He's poor and he's desperate, and trying to find her, a way to marry into somebody rich. That Benzo and or Benzino or whatever his name is, and that Consuela, they fall in love, but he who gets slapped, Paul, falls in love with her as well. But she,
Mm-hmm.
she likes that Benzino or whatever his name is, but her dad has other plans. He gets that Baron and wants her to marry him. And it all goes down in the end. If I'm not going to give it away, but if you like Lon Chaney, if you like the old classics, if you're looking to maybe just look into a silent film, that's one to look into, because I think that, um, it's not one of those ones that are boring. Sometimes you watch these silent films, you're like, they're kinda boring, and my brother loves one. It's Victor Hugo's, The Man Who Laughs,
Uh-huh.
and that is a good one as well. I'm sure people already know how that one goes down, but it's not a clown. He's not a clown. He was a child who was taken, and he was, um, mutilated as a child to where he had a permanent grin. And he falls in love with this blind girl, Mary Pilbin, who also played in Lon Chaney's what's it called, Phantom of the Opera. She's in that too. She's a
Oh, okay.
famous
Mm-hmm.
silent film actress, but that's a good one. It's not a clown, but he inspired the Joker. He's got this real
Uh,
creepy grin that
yeah.
stays, and he like hides himself, and then whenever he like unveils himself, he's got this real big grin. But she's blind; you can't see him. She's not frightened of him. But check those out if you like to want to dive into that kind of thing. Those are two that you can look
Yeah,
into.
I'd definitely like to watch both of them.
Yeah, but in that, He Who Gets Slapped, he's not he's a creepy looking clown. I mean, He's got little tufts of hair, and it's Lon Chaney, and Lon Chaney was a genius,
Yeah.
man of a thousand faces. So I mean, there you go. But I just wanted to mention those just in case. I know a lot of people don't like silent films, but something different
Well,
and
I
should
like I like for you to
I
answer
love them.
different ones because it
Mhm.
helps break up the monotony of me talking about one horror film after the other. So I appreciate you.
Yeah. Well,
Uh,
what it does, silent films also, where there is no voice, it allows you to focus more on the acting because the acting was very big and bold
yeah.
in those films because they had to portray their emotions out because you can't hear it in voice, you see
Mhm.
it. So I appreciate that. So,
Like a stage play or something
mhm,
like
yeah,
that. They
yeah.
have to be very expressive. Is there any others you wanted to bring up,
No,
Ken?
there was one that I remembered though before we did this because I asked Chris if he remembers it. And what was that called? Chris, do you remember? It had Bobcat Goldthwait in it. Let me see if I look that one up here. Shakes the Cane, it's
I was
called.
gonna say, Wes said, "Did anybody mention House of a Thousand Corpses?" No, and we're probably not gonna talk about that one today. I mean, y'all can talk about it in the chat, but as with a lot of these, we can do second and third parts or fourth parts or whatever. Um,
But
the
yeah,
Cat
Diane,
Mary, yeah.
there is a movie that I remember renting as a kid. It's not a scary movie or anything like that, but I wanted to mention it real quick. It's called Shakes the Clown, and I can't
Yeah.
even remember a whole lot about it, but it's Bobcat Goldthwait. It wasn't good. It's
Mm.
got Julie Brown in it, but it's got that Tom Kenny that plays SpongeBob, and
Oh,
plays a
okay.
killer clown in it. Have you ever seen it?
I've heard of that one, but I haven't seen that one.
It's weird. It's a weird one. I just figured I'd mention that one just because, Tom Kenny was in it. But you go ahead.
But, Wes, I'd like to watch the 1927 version of The Cat and the Canary. He says
Mhm.
that's truly frightening.
Yeah.
Blissful enjoys silent
Mhm.
movies.
I love them.
Um, all right, so people might think this one is a stretch again, but the beginning of Halloween, what does it have? Michael Myers
Yeah.
he's dressed up as a cute little clown. What does he do? He goes upstairs and he kills his sister
Like
after he has sex
Tiffany.
with her boyfriend. And like that image, all of the images really of the young Michael Myers with that, it's supposed to be a happy, sparkly clown. Everybody remembers those particular clown outfits, and they had the silvery mask that went over
Yeah.
the eyes and stuff like that. Um, and even those ones that were kind of rubbery and had the little clown nose and
Yeah.
stuff like that, all of those were meant to be whimsical and a happy time.
Yeah.
What does John Carpenter do? He
Yeah.
turns that on its ear because all of the scenes, even before young Michael Myers has the blood on him, that's the coup de grace of the little boy killing his or stabbing his sister to death and having this clown costume
Yeah.
on because it's Halloween. Um, but all of the scenes that they show, even when they're not showing the little boy, and I know that some of this was probably adults. It was probably Deborah Hill or something picking up the mask and putting it on and
Yeah.
stuff like that. But it's supposed to be the little boy. And
Yeah.
the walk up the steps, the walk into the bedroom where she's sitting there in front of the mirror and brushing her hair,
Yeah.
all that lead up to it is just painfully creepy. And if you don't believe me, go back and watch the beginning of Halloween.
Yeah.
And this is something that Rob Zombie would never be able to duplicate. I'm sorry for fans of Rob Zombie's version of Halloween, but he just could not duplicate that. That was
Mhm.
a lightning in a bottle type of scenario where everything just fell into
Yeah.
place. Everything was right for this scene.
Yeah.
And so then, on the heels of him killing his sister, he walks out to the road. The parents pull up. There he is standing there with the clown mask and the clown
Mhm.
costume on, holding a knife covered in blood. The the parents are looking at him, and the father says, "Michael," and takes
Yeah.
the mask off of him, and then you just see dead eyes on that child.
It's chilling.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah,
chilling.
and
Yeah, definitely.
it's more chilling than if an adult had been doing it.
Mhm. Oh,
That
definitely.
that is more creepy than the adult
Mhm.
Michael Myers. I mean, that's creepy, but that a child that's supposed to be innocent and pure and all that, has committed this terrible act of
Yeah,
murder on a
yeah,
family member, and then
and
his code dead eyes, the devil's eyes, as Donald Pleasance calls them.
yeah. And those movies just, they're perfect in the way that they fell together, just with the actors that they were, that were involved, and so there's no duplicating, especially the original Halloween. There's no duplicating that, but that scene with the little kid and stuff, it's creepy as well as terrifying because that is real life stuff. As
Yeah.
much as we don't want to admit it, that happens, you know? And even serial killers who were allowed to, grow up in society as adults had committed heinous crimes as kids. That's where
Mm.
it all began a lot of the time.
Well, and
So,
then we have serial killers like John Wayne Gacy that
yes,
dressed as Pogo the Clown.
which is absolutely horrifying.
Yeah, it's, um, so some people might not remember that a clown is shown a few times in the house on Sorority Row. The scenes are sometimes dark, but we are led to believe that the clown is the son of the house mother for this sorority house.
Mhm.
Um, and we start out the movie where a woman is obviously uh, going into labor and she's in a lot of pain and all this, and the doctor's been called to the house. It's supposed to be the early 60s, I believe. And we find out later that I guess she was given some kind of drug to make sure that she got pregnant.
Yeah,
Well, evidently, this drug has caused some bad side
yeah.
effects, not only on the mother, but evidently, we're led to believe at the beginning that the baby died
Mm,
because she gives birth, they take the baby away. And then the doctor comes back into the room where the mother is, and she says, "Where's my baby?" And you don't hear him say anything. You just see him look at her, and then it goes to another. I don't know if it's a black screen or a scene outside the house, but you hear her scream. And so you are led to believe that the child died during birth, or died soon after being born. Okay. So then we fast forward. That was Mrs. Slater. She's the house mother for this sorority. And the girls are being naughty girls. They were already supposed to have left Mrs. Slater's house, and they're still there, and they're having a drunken party. And they're planning on having um, a party there to, I guess, introduce the new pledges, the people that are or girls that are pledging to their sorority. And Mrs. Slater busts in on their party and says, "What are you still doing here? I want you out of my house tomorrow." Well, they don't, of course, they don't leave. It's a horror movie. And you also see a scene of Mrs. Slater going to see the doctor that came to her whenever she was giving birth.
mhm.
And he gives her this necklace, like a medical alert necklace. And he says, "You need to wear this, or this needs to be worn at all times." I don't think he says specifically for her to. He says, this needs to be specifically worn at all times. Um, there's no telling what could happen. Uh, you need to be watched or something about that. You need to be under medical care. And she says, I am not staying here at this hospital. I'm going back to my house as I've always done.
Yeah.
And so she's real stern about it. So she goes back and the girls are still there and they're decorating for this damn party. And she's very, very angry. And she says, I told you girls, I want you out of here. And we find out later that the reason why she always wants them out of there by a certain date is because her son is still around and he dresses in a clown outfit. And it's a green and white outfit, but it's so creepy. The mannerisms of the person that played her son, I don't know that you ever see his face out of makeup either.
Uh-huh.
It is just so unsettling. Um, you see these little green and white balls with little bells on them. You see them
Yeah.
rolling across the floor.
Mm.
You see the sun in the shadows. You see people getting killed off, but you don't necessarily see who's doing it. And there's a prank that they play on Mrs. Slater that appears to go awry, um, where they have a gun that is supposed to have blanks in it, supposedly. And they want to scare Mrs. Slater because she's giving them shit about leaving her house.
Yeah.
And she has a cane with a bird on it that a walking cane. And so wherever she goes, she's got that cane. So they steal her cane and throw it into the nasty pool.
Oh.
The pool hasn't been cleaned in God knows when. And she says, you get in there and get my cane out of there. And they say, no, you do it, Mrs. Slater. And
Yeah.
the one girl points the gun at her. And so she's forced to go in this nasty,
Ooh.
slimy pool that has algae and God knows what else.
Ooh.
And then the girl shoots the gun off, and it's supposed to be blanks. It appears to be blanks, but Mrs. Slater, either it appears that it wasn't blanks or she had a heart attack because it
Yeah.
scared her. And so there, the dead woman supposedly is in the pool,
Ooh.
and they don't even have time to get her out of the pool. The guys come bringing the stuff for the party, and the band is coming.
Ooh.
And the house band for their party. And so they basically have to wrap Miss Slater up in her robe or whatever in a blanket and leave her submerged in this pool. And then they got to go do whatever they got to do. Okay. So, and you can only imagine that the son is probably watching from the house and he's
Yeah.
seeing all of this stuff happen. Okay. So, let me talk a little bit. This isn't clown related, but it's a band. 4 out of 5 doctors. They're a new wave band. I don't know how many of you guys and gals have heard of them before, unless you've heard me talk on these streams about them. But I love the music that they did in this movie. So much, in fact, that I have about 4 out of 5 doctors' vinyls
Hmm.
back there on my vinyl shelf. I highly recommend them. You can look them up on YouTube if you want to. Some people may hate them, but I absolutely love them. So. But anyway, that's House on Sorority Row. Pretty cool little slasher, and it does have a clown in it or somebody dressed as a clown. Um, Candice, you got anything you want to interject in here? I know you haven't seen that one, but
No, I've not seen that one. I mean, Killer Clowns, I mean, that's a no-brainer one there. Um,
I definitely had that one in my pile.
mhm. I mean, who hasn't seen Killer Clowns? I know my
Right.
son loves it. I mean, he absolutely loves it. Um, he just went wild. He watched it and was like, "Wow, this is the greatest film ever," and he went and got everything that he could find of. He's got the animatronic, he's got 2 of the guns and all the pop figures and all that good
You can
stuff,
get
so,
these from Amazon if you want a cool little soup
yeah.
mug there.
Oh, they're cute clowns, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, they might shoot guns that have cotton
Yeah,
candy, and you
and
be in
we
a
kinda
hot
look
dog
like cotton
stand.
candy
Yeah, we
today.
do. I didn't think about that, but we do. That fits today. Um, but yeah, Killer Clowns from Outer Space. If you want to watch a fun
Mhm.
uh, clown, I guess a horror comedy at best is what you
Oh,
would
yeah,
approach
definitely.
it. Their spaceship is a big top tent. I mean, where else are you going to see that?
I think I've showed this before, but look at their guns. I mean, look at this.
Yeah, that's
Popcorn.
fantastic.
Got popcorn in it, and it lights up and all that good stuff, and it shoots popcorn. I mean, where else can you find something like that? Just cheesy, like 80s stuff.
80 late 80s cheese. Yeah, that's
And this is
definitely
the
what
cotton candy gun that he
it
like. I mean, it's great. Who wouldn't want that? Who wouldn't? And what kid wouldn't love that?
And so if you think you're scared of clowns, watch Killer Clowns from Outer
Yeah, because
Space.
I'm not scared of that. And I
Candace was traumatized by Tim Curry and It, but she's okay with Killer Clowns.
He's got a cup too.
Oh, cool.
See, that's a little guy from Jimmy Neutron. I don't know if you know.
Oh, yeah. I was like, at first I was like, is he in Killer Clowns? I
Well,
was
but he's
like,
got. I mean, if I could show you his room, I mean, he's got everything. I got Shorty over here, and he makes the god awfulest noise ever was. Whenever you turn him on, he's like, that weird noise that he makes.
mm-hmm. But Shorty was one of my favorites. Like
Yeah,
he was uh, the uh, the clown that really stood out of
yeah,
all the killer clowns. Um, and I don't think I need to talk about Poltergeist because we did talk about that. It's got a very creepy clown doll that
yes,
towards the end of the movie, or not towards, well, maybe the middle part of the movie,
yeah.
it wraps
Chill in.
it wraps its arms, like its
Yeah,
arms get like super long and wrap around his throat and
yeah,
all
it's
that.
crazy.
Yeah. So, this one might be unsettling to people. The Poltergeist is unsettling to
It
me
is.
on a lot of
Yeah.
levels.
Now, is it the second one? I know this has nothing to do with clowns. Is it the second one? Because this really disturbed me as a kid, and my mom was watching it again because she wasn't a horror movie fan. So why she was watching it and why she was watching Poltergeist, I don't know. I
Yeah,
think it
I
might
know.
be the
That's
yeah,
odd.
it's really weird. They had to be on TV or shit, but I think it's the second one. I remember as a kid, my mom watching this, and there's a scene where the dad is throwing up this
Oh, yeah.
oh god. Is that the second one?
That I think it may be, Candace,
I don't
because
think that's in the
because
first, is it?
no, I'm pretty sure it's not in the first one, and it wouldn't have been in the third one because Carol Ann goes to stay with
Yeah,
some family members, so you're really not gonna see,
yeah.
you know.
That scene is sickening. I mean, that's stuck in my mind I mean, it still is stuck in my mind,
Coco
and,
says it's the second one.
it is, I'm pretty sure. What's his name? That
Um,
plays
ah,
Nelson, what is his name?
Craig T. Nelson.
Craig T. Nelson, that's
Yeah,
it.
I had to
That's it.
think about it for a second, but
Yeah, that's what it was.
the old man who didn't he have cancer or something? The guy, the real creepy old guy. But Yeah,
That was
he
a
was
crazy
always
scene.
creepy in those too.
Mhm.
Chris says,
Oh
"No,
my
that part where he's throwing up is just an outtake from Coach because he saw Jerry Van Dyke nude."
oh my god. Oh.
Coco said Craig T. Nelson was hot. He was, as I guess, a television actor, and then as a movie dad, I guess he wasn't,
It wasn't ugly.
no.
No.
I wouldn't say he was, drop dead gorgeous or, just
But to somebody he may be.
but yeah, which is fine, and
Yeah.
and if Coco thinks he's hot, I'll go with it.
And Dana, this has nothing to do with clowns or anything like that either. Um, but I just had a flashback of
Mm,
a movie that terrified me. It was just a scene, and I have no idea what it is, and maybe somebody watching may know what it is. And I can't even tell you what the man's name is, but I can describe him. He's a actor, and I'm pretty sure he plays in TV shows. And he's
mhm.
got a big thick mustache, and I think he's bald with like hair on the sides. But he played in this movie, and I remember him going skinny dipping, and he jumps in the water, and dis like a hand grabs him by the leg, like a sawed off hand grabs him by the leg, and he comes out of the water with it. Does anybody know
That
what I'm
sounds
talking about?
familiar. TJ, are you still in here? Because TJ, no, he's my answer man or
Yeah.
Batman.
Do you know what I'm talking about? Who is that actor? I think he's got the big mustache. And he's bald on top of hair.
From what's he from?
I can't tell you. I can see his face, but in the movie, he jumps in this lake, he's skinny dipping, and it grabs his ankle, and he
Mm.
comes up with it, and they find out somebody's been murdered in there. But it shows the hand grabbing his leg. That's all I can remember. That's going to just stick with me. Have you ever? It's just a flashback that I had as a kid, and I remember that seeing that on TV, and it just
Blissful says, TJ, where are you?
I don't
Or
mean to
maybe
jump
Batman
everywhere.
knows. I saw Batman was commenting in here.
Well, if
So,
anybody knows, just let me know.
but in the meantime, I'll talk about the one I saved for last. And I only have a DVD of this. And believe it or not, this has Mr. John Candy in it. And that's called The Clown Murders. Now, it does have a cool cover on the DVD.
I have never heard of that, and I surely didn't know John Candy was in a movie like that.
I had no clue. And I don't know where I got this from now. I don't know if it was just a blind buy. It may have been like just a blind buy on Amazon. I may
Yeah.
have just saw it on Amazon looking at movies one time and said, well, I'm going to buy it because it didn't cost very much. And I'm not even going to begin to lie to you guys. This is not an exceptional film. And they don't really give John Candy a lot to do in it. Most of the time, poor John Candy, and I'm sure that they told him to do this, whoever directed it told him to be whiny. He whines the whole movie. Um, let's see who director was Martin Burke, which I'm not familiar
Burke.
with. Um, but Stephen Young's in this, Susan Keller, Lawrence Dane, John Caney, and Gary Reinecke, I think is how you pronounce that. But let me give you a little bit of a plot synopsis on this. I just find it intriguing. I guess it's not a great film, but it's intriguing and it's interesting to watch. So, four friends put on clown costumes and they kidnap one of their old girlfriends in what was supposed to be an innocent Halloween prank. So this is a Halloween themed movie too. So when something goes south, what usually happens? People start bickering with each other. The tensions rise, and so that happens. But old jealousy and resentment turn to suspicion and terror when the group realizes that a clown among them has a real axe to grind. So that's not new territory either. And wants them dead. Is it a murdering red-nosed stranger stalking the hapless kidnappers, or is one of their own determined to make sure this is one prank that will make them die laughing? So it's one of those things where did somebody just take it one step too far, or is this a stranger that's just crazy and is wanting to kill these people off? It's listed as part psychological thriller, part edge of your seat horror, but come on, guys and gals, we know these El Cheapo things that put. This was put out by Image Entertainment, so that should tell you all you need to know about how cheaply made this is. This came out the year I was born. This movie came out in 1976.
So it's an older, like, movie that John Candy was in. So
Yeah,
it had to be, like, at the around the beginning of his, like, movie career and stuff like
yeah,
that.
I would say so. Yeah,
I love John Candy, though. I think he's one of my favorite actors.
me too. I
Mhm.
love John
Love him, Uncle Buck, and, Nothing But Trouble, and
Candy.
I love it. I love John Candy.
And that's why that was the big reason they put John Candy's name right there on the front of it as a selling point, I'm sure,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
it
yeah.
worked with me because I bought it. But I would recommend, watching it at least once if you can find a free version. I'm not asking you to go spend money on it because by now probably somebody has got the one copy that's available for somebody to buy, and they want to jack up the price to 3 or 4 times what the movie's
Yeah.
worth. And I don't recommend anybody do that. You've seen what they've done with some VHS tapes that are bad movies, but they're just rare and hard to find. And so people say, "Woohoo! I see where I can make some money." Um, uh, Batman says, "Sorry, Candace, nothing popped up." I guess he was trying to figure out what that.
If I could think what that guy is in, I know who he is, and I cannot tell you. It's like a block. I know who he is. It seems like he's in a TV show. Some TV show. Is he like a real tight, like he's like real straight,
Uh,
acting? I don't know. He's from the 90s. I do know that. I can't think of what it's called, but I'm sure we'll find it because it just popped in my head. And I said, I'm gonna give it a shot, see if anybody knows what it is.
okay, so Wes says Clown Murders was one of those Walmart bargain bin titles. So that was probably where I got it. I was probably sifting through that.
Yeah.
I got it for $5 or
I
whatever.
had never heard of it.
And I don't think a lot of people have, I really don't think a lot of people have heard of this. And yeah, they try to juice it up. They try to make it sound like the best horror film ever, and that you're getting a real gem. And I ain't gonna lie to anybody, it's not that. It's just if you want to see John Candy in a really early role,
Yeah.
if you want to watch another one of these clown horror movies, there you go. Um, I didn't really skip out on Terror on Tour, Wes.
Does it have a clown in it?
Well, the band in it is called the Clowns,
Oh, okay.
and they paint their faces up. It's kind of like a poor man's Kiss or something. The way they do it. Uh, let's see. It says I like to ask people to spend money myself. Uh, Batman says, "Yeah, Terror on Tour going for $200+."
Oh my goodness.
Wes says he has a VHS of Terror on Tour in great shape too. Well, what are you doing waiting to try to sell it to me? Why don't you sell it and make some money? I have a VHS of it, but it's a cut box and stuff.
So the VHS is worth 200 or the DVD?
Well, there is no DVD of
Oh,
Terror
so it's
on
one of
Tour.
those that
Yeah,
never made it to any other media.
not
Okay.
yet, anyways. Um, Chris says, "What about Clown from Spawn?"
Yeah, John
Well,
Leguizamo.
yeah,
Yeah.
some people I know don't like John Leguizamo, but
I like him.
I
I
do
always
too.
do
I
like
don't
him.
I don't mind him, but I guess he
Yes.
annoys some people.
I always thought he was cute.
Yeah, cute too. Yeah, we're gonna throw all kinds of things in the mix here.
Oh,
We'll
I
get
love Tu
Wes
Wong
all
Fu. Have you ever
wound
seen
up.
that? Have you ever
What's that?
seen Tu Wong Fu?
I have. I don't think I've seen that one, but that's another one I need to
Oh, I
see.
love that one. I love that one. That he plays one of the characters in that, and I think with Patrick Swayze and Wesley Snipes. I think,
That's great.
yeah, it's crazy.
I love Patrick Swayze too. God
Yeah.
rest his soul. Um, but I guess Candace, do you have anything else that you wanted to bring up?
Not that I can think of. I mean, I remember like crazy clowns, like from when I was a kid. I know there's like an "Are You Afraid of the Dark"
Yeah.
episode where there's I think a boy like steals like its nose or something like that, and it comes after him. And it wasn't there a is it a either a Tales from the Dark Side or a Tales from the Crypt episode. I remember a scarecrow that had a clown mask. I think it was Tales from the Crypt,
You
because
may
didn't
be
it have
right on
maybe
that.
Patricia Arquette or somebody like that in it?
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about. She falls in love with the scarecrow. She's being
Yeah.
by the yeah. I
Is that
should
Tales from the
remember that.
Crypt?
Yeah, it's Tales from the Crypt. Me and
Okay.
TJ just did that series not very long
Oh,
ago,
okay,
so that's
okay.
why I remember.
Zebo the clown from episode Laughing in the Dark. Yeah, that's it. That's the one from Are You Afraid of the Dark? That was a weird looking clown. It was like one of them, like those punks that you knock down,
Oh,
at a carnival.
yeah.
Um, is kind of looks like that kind of clown. Um, some of those Are You Afraid of the Dark episodes are out there.
I would have liked to have seen those, but I'm really gonna have to get these stick-on nose pieces for my glasses. This one just keeps sliding around, and I should have done got some more from Amazon, and I didn't. Batman Says Killjoy is a great low-budget clown movie. I
I've
have
not
yet to
seen that
watch
one.
those. Mhm.
I've not seen. No, I've watched that one about John Wayne Gacy. I think it's called Gacy. I
Oh,
watched
yeah.
a long time ago. I mean, that's sickening to me, those kind of films that
Mhm.
deal with that real stuff.
Chris says there's also another episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark called Tale of the Crimson Clown about a possessed
Ugh,
clown doll. That sounds creepy. Candace is
mm,
like, uh-uh.
gosh. My
Uh,
grandma passed away. She's had some of those porcelain clowns that I
oh,
had, give her, whenever I was kid and was getting rid of all my clown stuff. And my mom, when she passed away, she said, "Do you want all these porcelain clowns that your grandma?" I said, "No, I don't want them. Give them away."
yeah.
Now I do have some clown stuff. I'm not going to say that I don't. I
Mhm.
love like the hobo clown stuff, like from the 50s and stuff. And I got this
Right.
one. It's a um, hobo clown from the 50s. It's a picture, and its nose is out, and you twist its nose, and
Mhm.
it's a
Mhm.
music box. Now, Chris thinks those are creepy,
He
but
does. Mm.
yeah, he thinks those are creepy, but I like them. I don't know. I'm weird, Dana. I have weird quirks about me.
Oh, TJ, I think I know that the old Twilight Zone episode you're talking about, In Search of an Exit. Isn't that the one where the people are in they're trapped somewhere, and it turns out that they're toys in a container?
Oh, I
Because
remember something like that.
he says there's the clown in the Twilight Zone episode 5 characters in search of an exit. There's a creepy guy dressed as a clown, but he isn't supposed to be evil. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think I remember.
yeah,
Um, but I did want to remind everybody that, and remind myself and Candace too, that next Friday we'll be doing badass women in horror, because I know that was one that we talked about
yeah,
doing. So as long as it's okay with Candace, that's
yeah.
what we'll cover. So that one, I think that's going to be a
Yeah.
fun show talking about badass women in horror, and that's another one that we could have multiple parts
Mhm.
to.
Yeah. And
Um,
even this one, I know there's a bunch that we didn't cover, maybe down the road or something, we could do another one of
yeah,
these clown, shows or something like that and talk about Captain Spaulding, and I
yeah.
know there's still a bunch more that we didn't,
Maybe I could
cover.
watch a few more that I haven't seen.
Yeah, me too, if I can get my I do wanna watch It, I will say that. I do wanna watch It and the
Mm,
second part of the new one.
right. Batman says Stitches is a funny Irish killer clown movie. I think I've seen that one. I want to say I have.
Here I go again talking about something that I don't know what the name of it is, but there is and you can find it on YouTube. There is this creepy, creepy short film, and I think it's out of Paris. And if I find it, the next time we come on here, I'll let people know what it is because it is creepy, but I like it. It's just a short film that somebody has made, and it's about a clown, a hobo clown he's dead and he's in a grave, and somebody is at the graveyard and they spill Coca-Cola, and the Coca-Cola goes down to the grave, and you see the Coke like going down into the dirt, and it drips on this clown that's dead, and he comes back alive as a zombie, undead
Huh.
zombie clown. And he's just going back and he's trying to live like normal, but he's falling apart. And it's got these weird like contacts in his eyes, and he's starting to, like I said, just fall apart. It's really weird. If I can find that next time, I will come on here. I'll let everybody know and give the link because if you want to see something creepy but fascinating, that's a good one.
It sounds like something I'd
Yeah,
like to check
it's
out.
something I found on YouTube one time years ago, and I was like, "Wow, that's so creepy, but really well made." And I think it's like I said from Paris or a French short, not Paris in general, but French. I guess is what I
Right.
was trying to say.
So we got a lot of good ideas. Like Candace has gave me some more stuff to try to seek out and watch, and people in the chat have done that. And so that's I always say that's one of the most positive things about doing these streams is that everybody puts all their stuff in one pot and we can take what we want from it. W- I discover a lot of new films through not only Candace, but
Mhm.
or Chris if he's on here, TJ if he's on here, um, CK and Uncle Bill if they happen to be on. Everybody has information that they can share. They may think that they don't. They may think, "Nah, I'm not that knowledgeable about this kind of stuff." I know Candace said, "I'm not
Yeah.
real well versed on this, but she shines when she comes on here." You
I
know,
appreciate that, but I feel like I'm a huge horror fan. It's was part of big huge part of my life and still is. But I don't retain information like a lot of people. Like Dana can remember everything. I can't remember everything about stuff. I can't remember names and this and that. Now music is a different thing. That's something that I can really talk to you about. Classic movies I can really talk to you about. So, I'm not going to be the most versed person to do one of these streams, but I appreciate Dana, getting me on here because I learn a lot
mhm,
from, being on here. I see a lot of things that I've never seen before, and I think it kind of works well because, it gives a perspective, gives another person a perspective who may not have seen a lot of this stuff. I can go watch it and come back and give you a first impression on a lot of this stuff. So I have a lot of fun doing these, even though I'm not going to be a person like Chris or like Dana or somebody who knows everything.
Oh, Batman found that movie, that short, I think.
Yes, that's it. That's it.
So
Look that up.
y'all go and check that out. No, Wes, I don't have a photographic
I
memory.
believe you do, Dana. You are very smart. You and Chris both. I mean,
My
'cause
brain doesn't work as well as it used to.
it seems to, because Chris can remember license plate numbers and stuff. I'm like, I can't remember my own phone number. I can't remember anything.
Well, some days I can't remember my own name, so
I couldn't sit and talk to you about it unless it's something that I absolutely know about, like that Hard Day's Night watch along. I could just tell you everything because I've watched it so many times. Beetlejuice, I could tell you everything about, but it's not about knowing everything. I have fun. I do know some stuff, so it's
Wes
not like I'm
has
some.
go ahead, Candace. I
I was
mean,
just gonna say it's not like I'm some like person that don't know anything, but even when I do know something, I don't know anything. So
but we're all learning. I think we're all
yeah.
learning from each other, and I think that's a great thing. But Wes says that I remember the old Saturday Nightmare streams from 15 years ago that weren't archived ever. Like, I only remember, like, big stuff that went on. Like, I know what he's hinting at. That I remember, like, when these women were on there that should have never been on there. In my
Uh-oh.
opinion, it's Wes's, uh, CK and Uncle Bill's, show. They can do anything they want. And they can have anybody on there that they want. But, um,
Dana wasn't having it.
Dana wasn't having it because women that are on there purely for eye candy that don't know anything about horror films, they're just on there for completely for eye candy. And Chris can back me up on this because I'm sure he knows what person I'm talking about. I'm not even going to mention the person's name.
I think I even know, and I wasn't even around during that time. I think I came after all that stuff. I
And
think I
that
know.
this is the same person that back when Dead Pit had the message board had a picture of themselves, obviously at least topless because there was side boobs showing, saying that they were showing off their tattoo, and then when they got unwanted attention, they disappeared.
Oh,
So we don't know where that person went now, but I understand you like to be fair to everyone, but when Candace says that she doesn't know much, but she knows like tons more than this particular person did. And I'm not trying to make anybody mad. And Candace isn't on here to like press her boobs up into her webcam and stuff like that. I mean, literally,
honey, if I did that, people would be running for cover.
uh,
Maybe 10 years ago, but not now.
Chris says he ain't getting involved in this. It's a losing battle with Wes. I'm not going to get anywhere with
Well, could you blame him?
No, I really couldn't blame any of the guys that were salivating over this
Well,
particular
listen,
person.
if Bill Skarsgård came up here and was pressing his boobs up against stuff, I would be looking too, Dana. I'm not going to lie, and Chris knows it. So Michael Keaton, anybody, even Jack Black, let them press
If
them.
Matthew McConaughey came and
ain't
he
gonna
wanted to
lie.
sit around in his underwear,
I'm gonna be looking, and I'm not gonna look away either. If he's giving it to me and letting me see it, bring it on.
I didn't say that everybody had to be a know-it-all, Wes, but you got to know something. You can't just get on a stream and
Chris don't care whose boobs I look at.
yeah, he's I'm gonna get off this thing about we could go back and forth all the rest of the day and into the night and the next day talking about that. I'm not gonna win with Wes. He's not gonna win with me. And I'm not on here to talk about that person. We don't even know where that person is anymore. They just dropped off the face of the earth.
She is.
No, I'm definitely not the first lady of Dead Pit. That would probably I think I think Jenny was listening to you guys before then.
You've been a big advocate though, Dana, so we'll call you that.
Mm, very defensive of her voice. Well, I think of you guys like brothers, like the extra brothers I never had. I just have one brother, and I love my brother, I do.
Gonna be
But
he's off with the stick. Come on there.
But Chris, I think of him like a brother. I think of TJ like a brother. I mean, I think of CK and Uncle Bill like brothers. So I have many brothers. Even Batman, I think of him like a brother. You know, a much younger brother, but a brother. But anyway, Candice, do you have anything that do you want to promote that you haven't talked about? Or
I mean, I just had our stuff that's coming out today. We had something come out on our Death by Stereo podcast page or channel. We had the Video Dead covering Meatloaf's I Would Do Anything for Love, but I won't do that. We didn't have time to get anybody to come and join us on that one. I have some more coming up, Dana. Maybe you might be interested in.
oh yeah, sure.
But we covered that, and then at 4, we're going to be having another video come on there. It's the TerraVision, where we're discussing 3 more episodes of the Munsters. So if you like that kind of thing, you want to check it out, just search Death by Stereo podcast. It's got like the creature and a boombox. So appreciate anybody who stops by, because we're very new and we don't know what we're doing, but we're trying.
I think y'all are doing an excellent job.
It's fun. It's been fun.
Yeah, I can tell you guys are having a lot of fun. The one I was on too, I could really tell you
Yeah.
were having
Yeah.
fun. Wes says Dana is like to mention the Into the Pit site is back live and the last remaining copies are available to purchase. I've still got my work print. Ain't that good enough? You're going to get me in trouble with my husband, Wes. But anyway, but there are a few remaining copies of Into the Pit in case somebody wants to pick one up. I think Batman got one. Chris says, we appreciate everyone that's subscribed so far. We're only at 22 subscribers, but hoping to increase that soon. But 22, that's, y'all haven't been around quite that long. I think 22 is great. Oh God, no, don't promote the drunk Dana. That was one of the worst times of my life doing, not when we were doing the fan commentary, but what happened afterwards. But anyway, plus nobody needs to see me like that. Nobody on the planet needs to. Drunken commentary is exclusive to the Patreon. All right. So on that note, I guess me and Candice are going to get out of here.
I've had fun.
I had fun too. This was another one for the books, and at least I didn't put the clown on Candace's side there. It's right underneath me.
Oh, I've been seeing him looking at me.
So please don't anybody have any clown related nightmares or anything like that, because we would feel bad if that happened. Thank you, Blissful. Blissful says
Thank
awesome
you.
live, Dana and Candy. So with all that being said, I just want to remind everybody, as I always do now, it's become my new tagline, is to be kind to one another and blaze that trail.
Yep.
And we'll see everybody next time. So y'all have a great rest of your Friday and a wonderful weekend. So bye, everybody.
See ya.